Hey everyone, thank you and welcome to our Thursday night team call with the Legacy Collective. I am so excited to welcome Dr. Luigi Gratton to our team call tonight to talk a little bit more about Shakeology, beach bars, our performance line. I got to actually hear him speak last year in Las Vegas at Leadership and was just like mind blown. Actually hearing you talk about daily sunshine and our kids' health today was amazing. But I'm just excited for you to share more information and knowledge about our product because I know we all drink it and love it, but sometimes understanding everything behind it and what goes into it just makes us even more confident when we're talking to, customers or future coaches about our product. So I will turn it over to you, and maybe if we have questions as we go, you can put them in the chat, but I will save them for maybe towards the end.
Sounds good. Well, thank you, Leslie. And let me know, you can give me the high sign or the low sign or the shut up sign or talk louder, whatever works. And I can see some of the folks here on my little screen, so feel free to send me messages or say like, we can't hear, or you're talking too fast. But so my name is Luigi. I've been in the company about almost 7 months. I'm a family medicine doctor by training. And I'm also a former competitive athlete. I used to run track and cross country when I went to UCLA, which is a university here in Los Angeles. Born and raised here in sunny Los Angeles as well. So I'm kind of an LA native. But I wanted to give you a little bit of my background because I've got this passion for nutrition and performance and exercise, something that I've always had, even when I was going through medical school and doing my residency training. I always wanted to do something nutrition related. I'm a family medicine doctor, which means you kind of do everything in the life cycle. As a family medicine residency, you have to deliver 50 babies, which was very interesting because, I was like, how do we do this? And the doctors who trained me were like, it's just like playing football. You just stand there and then it's like the football comes to you, it's like a baby. Like, is it that easy, really? But the point is that family medicine practitioners are really sort of generalists in the field. They do everything throughout the life cycle from children to middle-aged adults to older folks in geriatrics. And within that life cycle, nutrition is essential. So after I did my family medicine boards, I spent an extra year studying clinical nutrition because you realize everyone every day has to eat. And we are powered through our nutrition. So whether you're a kid or you're an adult or someone who's very old, you gotta have magnesium, protein, healthy fats, and all these things. So this is sort of my passion. This is what I was very attracted to Beachbody. I had never known any coaches at Beachbody, but I did see the Shakeology shake turn up probably about 6 years ago on my radar, and I was blown away by it. I'd never seen any shake from a large-scale company with rice, chia, flax, sacha inchi, a whey protein, and a vegan blend. I'd never seen anything like this in the market. So I contacted some folks that I knew here, and I was like, how did you make this thing? I got to know how you made the shake because no one can make a shake like this that tastes this good. So I was super curious about the company, and I didn't know the connection between like Tony Horton, Shaun T, Pio. I didn't know any of that stuff was related to Shakeology. I was clueless because I'd see all this stuff on TV, but I didn't see any shake connection. So anyway, finally I was like, the light switch went on and I understood it was nutrition and fitness all wrapped up. Anyway, so here I am almost 7 months in the company, and I work in nutritionals, which means all the consumable products like the bar or Shakeology. We help to produce them, and then we help to market them. And we are now hoping to help educate the coaches, sell them, or at least help educate you on nutrition and consumption. So that's kind of where my passion is. I can tell you all about like more of my background, but that's kind of like what brought me here in my journey. I'm really passionate about talking to all of you because you are really the public health vectors of Beachbody. We operate in the US, Canada, and the UK. And at some point, I'm envisioning this company is going to be in like every country around the globe. And when you think about it, every nutrition product we talk about, whether it's Beach Bar or Shakeology, if we were selling on retail shelves, that would be great. But a shelf can't talk to you the way a coach can. A shelf can't inspire you. I was telling Leslie before the call, I just watched her YouTube video, which was super inspirational. We chatted, Leslie, but I didn't really know your story. I hadn't never seen your children growing. I didn't see, I chatted with your husband in Mexico, but I didn't get to see all these cool pictures. So really within minutes, I got to hear your passion, your story, and all this in your video. But the point is, this is what you all do every day as coaches. It's your gift that you are not a shelf. You tell the story of your personal journey. And of course, you get to tell the story of the product. So the company is super important in terms of the products, but I always look at the most important point of connection is you, the coach. So anything that we can do to support you is sort of like my honor. So that's my background. That's my passion. We got a bunch of products to talk about, and we can sort of kick it off. I don't know if you want me to just go straight through, Leslie, and start talking Shakeology, performance bars, or if you want to do back and forth.
No, I think that'd be great because all of us, I think, love and use Shakeology. I'm like a 7-year finally switched from chocolate to cafe latte over here. But bars and Energize and Daily Sunshine, all of it, I think would be great.
Cool. All right. Well, we'll get into it. And I'll try and make this so it's not boring. I can always, sometimes when I'm training, I can see the folks who are like in the little images, and I can see them like with their kids kind of dozing off, or I can tell when someone's really leaning in like, oh, this is kind of interesting. So I'm going to try and keep it sort of interesting. And I'm hoping that I can weave in the sort of the frequently asked questions that I've talked to you coaches in the field about. Okay. So let's kick it off with Shakeology. So the reason why this is such a phenomenal product is not just the fact that it's this premium shake, it's the hero product. It drives a lot of the revenue in your home-based business, or it drives a lot of the revenue in the company of Beachbody. But the reason why it's so phenomenal to me is sustainable nutrition. I think about the world as a physician, as a family medicine doctor. I treat patients, or I historically did, and I still see patients sometimes. But I think about like the world as it's growing. We've got a lot of people on planet Earth. We have like 7 billion people. And guess what? There's more coming. So in the next probably 20 years, we're going to have like 9 billion people on the planet. Now, that's all people are having children. The population is growing in many other countries. The U.S. is pretty flat. But here's the thing. Everyone's got to eat. And everyone cannot have ribeye, pork chops, and hot dogs. It's not going to feed a growing planet. What's going to feed a growing planet? Good, sustainable nutrition that's healthy, that's rich in vitamins and minerals, trace elements, and phytonutrients. We're going to talk about those in a second. This is the Darren and Isabel pitch, right? And this is essential stuff that we need in our body. So yeah, as we're growing and as your personal families are growing and you're sharing these gifts, these products with people, you've got to think about the gift that you're actually giving to your fellow humans, right? It's good nutrition, and we're going to go through the bullet points. So if you think about Shakeology, premium shake, why is it so important? I always turn the label around and I start going through the different areas. You think about the protein blend, the phytonutrient blend, the digestive health blend, but let's just make it really simple. The protein is first. Protein is essential because if we do not eat protein, and this is a medical fact, if we don't eat protein, we die. Okay, that's a fact. That's why the US government and every other government around the world sets a recommended protein amount. You can't survive without protein. You can survive with very little fat and very little carbohydrates, but without protein, we simply die. In fact, that's what starvation is. It's really protein malnutrition. People lose a lot of muscle, and the heart, which is a muscle, when you start not eating enough protein, people have heart attacks and die, okay? So protein is no joke. It's essential. It's really important in not only Shakeology, the bars and Daily Sunshine, but it feeds us. Now, why is our protein so important? Because it's clean. A lot of our competitors sell proteins that have got a lot of dirty fillers in them, whether it's sawdust, heavy metals, toxic runoff from manufacturing facilities. The reason why I'm so proud, the more I learn about the shake, is we source in a very clean way. I'm going to get into the testing in a little bit later, but think about the protein blend. If you drink the whey, I have a little bit of both, but I like vegan chocolate. Okay, so I'm actually not having a whey shake in the morning. I often do a vegan chocolate, and that's got your protein blend, the flax, the chia, pea, and all the blend, the sacha inchi, all those things that you'll notice. But think about those proteins. Those are sourced in a very clean way. We order the cleanest pea protein, arguably, on the planet. I'm going to say that again. A lot of the coaches that you talk to will tell you, especially if they're new coaches, hey, I'm buying a $50 bag of pea protein mixed with rice from another company. Why is Shakeology so expensive? Well, not only do we go through extreme quality testing and sourcing, but when we source those ingredients, they come from the best sources. So when I take the pea protein as an example, we order from a place in Europe that gets the best pea protein, which is super clean, whereas a lot of people order from other countries, or I should say other companies in certain Asian countries that source a lot of dirty pea and rice protein. It's kind of well known in the industry. And those proteins carry a lot of junk in them, a lot of toxins, heavy metals, fillers. And that's the big difference between our shake and a lot of other shakes that don't really tell you about their sourcing. So a lot of folks will say, and I'm trying to simplify this, but a lot of folks will say, hey, Shakeology, it's kind of complex, but understand that when you just talk about the protein blend, it's really clean. It's got the full complement of amino acids, which means it feeds the body with all those essential nutrients. And we fill up our muscles with those amino acids that we need to build protein. So I always start with protein because it's essential. By the way, many of you, Beachbody is predominantly female because we have so many female coaches, but the average woman that you talk to as a customer needs at least 60 grams of protein, even if she's not exercising. That's a good amount of protein. Now, if she's exercising, doing 80-day obsession or PIO, I saw your how you sort of you promote PIO and your PIO results in your video. But Leslie, but if you're thinking about just doing a basic workout, you're going to need probably 80 to 100 grams of protein. A lot of folks who are really running around with multiple kids, doing their 80-day obsession and doing other things throughout the day, you may need over 100 grams of protein. So just think about getting your protein requirements. The government minimum is low. At Beachbody, we recommend significantly more than the government minimum. Okay, so that's number one. Number two, fiber. Fiber and all this sort of, I'll include everything together. Fiber and the digestive enzymes, the pre and probiotics, all that stuff is really crucial, not just because it helps us poop and go to the bathroom, which we want to make sure we're doing every day, but also because it's really good for cholesterol levels. It's really good for heart health, for cardiovascular issues. It takes care, not that we cure disease, but it takes care of the body in all of these different facets. But the same way we talk about protein as being essential, fiber is really important. Now, when I think of results in Beachbody, and I look at your pictures, many of you as coaches, when you Facebook me and I check out your profiles, a lot of you show your before and after. So it's a picture of you showing your muscles, your biceps, like before and after you did a program. And that really speaks to the success of protein, feeding those lean muscles and burning fat. What we don't often talk about is fiber. In a way, protein's really sexy because that's the before and after shot is the protein when you show your abdominal muscles. But fiber is, not so sexy, but it's essential because it helps us with our digestive health. It does so many things in the body. And most importantly, it takes care of gut health. Sounds kind of weird, but you think of the tube, as soon as you put something in your mouth until it exits your body, there's a lot of things that are happening along that tube. There's healthy bacteria that are being fed by Shakeology. There's gut health that's being taken care of that many of you have told me about. You fixed your gut with Shakeology, right? Leaky gut syndrome, all these things that many of you have reported to me that you've sort of taken care of. But a lot of that happens because of the specific nutrients that we put or they put in Shakeology, Darren and Isabel, when they designed it. And of course, I wanted to mention the phytonutrients, which I think Darren and Isabel are so passionate about, and I love talking about. And if you just think about different colorful fruits and vegetables, if you think about tomatoes, they have something called lycopene. And lycopene helps to reduce the risk of breast cancer in women. and prostate cancer in men. Why? We don't know. God, Mother Nature, we don't know who planned this, right? But for some reason, cooked tomatoes, or if you chop up some tomatoes and put it in salsa, somehow long-term that tends to protect breast and prostate health. Blueberries, if you put blueberries in your shake every day, blueberries have lutein in it. Lutein has a very powerful set of antioxidant compounds which protect the eye. Why? We don't know. It's God, Mother Nature. But blueberries, the lutein in blueberries collects in your eye and protects from macular degeneration. And that is the #1 cause of blindness in the countries where we operate. So why am I telling you all this stuff about these random facts? We put in these phytonutrients that come from colorful pigments in fruits and vegetables. And Darren and Isabel carefully chose these. So you get a full complement of these incredible phytonutrients that help support the human body. Now, we don't know exactly if it's the ashwagandha or the reishi mushroom or what that makes us feel so good, but it's packed with phytonutrients, and that's what they do. They support the human body. So let me stop there for a second on Shakeology. Just want to make sure you have a second to digest it, but think about why it's a premium shake. You've got your macronutrients, the proteins, the carbohydrates, the fiber. You've got these healthy fat blends. We use a little bit of fats, but they're very healthy. We can talk about the blend in a second. And of course, this phytonutrient blend of fruits and vegetables and these exotic things like ashwagandha, reishi mushroom, cordyceps, all the things that you see in the shake, which are sometimes hard to pronounce. But and that's the excitement and the energy and the beauty behind Shakeology. So let me stop there for a second, pause, and I want to turn it into the testing behind Shakeology, because I think this is really important. So many of you have asked, and we've done this at many of the events recently, talking about the stages of testing, and we're going to hopefully talk about this at Summit. 3 quick stages, and then we'll go on to performance, and we'll talk about bars as well. Or maybe I'll kick it back to Leslie and see if she's got questions or things are coming up in the chat. So first, 3 levels of testing. And when someone asks you, hey, that bag of Shakeology costs a lot of money. I can get my $40 bag of rice and pea protein. First, you want to tell them, wait a minute, there's a lot of rice and pea protein that comes from countries that don't care about good sourcing. We source from the best pea protein in Europe and very clean rice protein, the best. So #1, you know that we have this great sourcing. #2, the testing is really important. Step 1 in our 3-step testing is ingredient identification. So all of these ingredients that you see on the label, we send our people out to those ingredient manufacturers and suppliers to do auditing. What does that mean? That means the girls and guys in our company who are scientists will fly them to different countries where we order these raw materials. Most companies do not do that. It's way too much time and energy to have someone go and check out the specifications and look at the ashwagandha and the rice and the pea protein. Companies don't care about that. Beachbody does. Most companies just say, send us the rice protein. They get a bag of rice protein. They have no idea what's in there, and they fill it into a shake, put in some fructose sweetener, and they send that shake out, and they charge $40. Not us. The major reason that we're different, in step 1 of testing, we do a white glove test at their facility. So we send our people out there to Indonesia, Europe, doesn't matter where they are, wherever the supplier is, Peru. And besides the videos of Darren you see going around to see these farmers, we also need to inspect the facilities where they're taking the rice and processing it, where they're taking the ashwagandha and breaking it down before they package it into a bag and send it to us. So that's step 1, the ingredient identification. Not only do we check it on site, we make sure that everything they're doing is clean and up to standards. But #2, we actually ask to make sure that when they send that over to our blending facilities, it's the exact same ashwagandha that we saw when we checked it on their site. Okay, so step 1 is ingredient identification. Then they mail all that stuff to us, right? We collect all those different ingredients before we blend, and this is very important. Step 2, we do batch samples. We do 60 individual samples of each batch of raw materials. This is before we blend it together. that's 60 individual samples. And we take those samples, we can put them on little sort of a library shelf that we have. And if anything is ever an issue with any particular bag of Shakeology that your customer asks about, we can open up that library of batches and test them and say, hey, was anything wrong? No, these are great quality. Maybe an issue with shipping. And this is really important for quality, okay? Then we blend everything together and we get the final product. In step 3, we take 300 samples of each batch. 300, it's 300 individual samples of each batch, and we put those in our little ingredient library for batch testing, and we can tuck those away, and that again is outstanding quality control. So from the ingredient identification in step 1 to the 60 samples in step 2 to the 300 samples in step 3, this is something that very few companies do in the industry. And when I learned about it, I was like, we got to tell coaches this stuff. This is phenomenal. And that's another reason why when a customer says, hey, I can get a $40 bag of rice protein, say, no, wait a minute. That might be garbage. We've got a premium shake, and we do an extensive amount of testing. Okay, so let me kick it back over to Leslie for a second. I want to make sure I'm not boring you guys. And I want to see if this is resonating. And then if it is, we can go into performance.
No, it's so good. Like I've been a coach for 7 years, and I knew that we had a good product, but it's awesome to hear like everything behind it. So the testing and that you're actually flying someone to like Peru to check on the product. That's amazing. Like that's really cool. Really cool. Yes. And I even loved like the little tip about like there might be fillers in the rice or the pea, like sawdust, and some people were like saying, yuck, I can't believe that would be in a shake. But it really makes you realize there is a lot of junk out there on the market.
Yeah, there's a tremendous amount of bad stuff in the industry. And what I recently found out, this is kind of cool. When we work with a supplier, we have such high standards of excellence. And that supplier, they've got to pass those tests. And if they don't, we don't do business with them. Now, remember, you coaches are very successful, okay? This is $1 billion business. Beachbody is $1 billion company, right? So we're giving business to a lot of suppliers. So they clearly want to work with us. When other companies find out that we're working with a supplier, other companies trust that supplier because they're like, well, if Beachbody, if they pass the tests with Beachbody, they must be good. So let's do business with them, right? So we're finding out that a lot of companies follow us into suppliers because we do a lot of the rigorous testing first. And they're like, Beachbody's passed the test, so let's do it. Let's go work with them too. So this is where I think, this is when you may hear Darren and Isabel talk about how we work with a farmer and we make those farmers, we make their lives better because we improve their supply chain, we improve their business, we improve their scope. They can actually make more and sell more and make more money. But not only with the small farmers in Peru that Darren talks about, but with the big suppliers in Europe that we may buy pea protein from. We improve them as well because we make them better. But it's only because you, the coaches, are selling so many of these products. So it's pretty cool. It's like a cycle. It's like a virtuous cycle of success. It's very cool. Okay, performance, if you don't mind. I was going to get into some performance because I like to talk about when I got to this company, I started learning about these products, and I'll use the top 2 products, Energize and Recover, because I know all of you are drinking one of these, okay? And so let's talk about Energize. If you are a home-based business owner and you're a coach, this is your hit record, which means that as a business owner, yes, that means exactly, I see Leslie saying, indeed, that means that this has the highest retention of all of your products that you retail. I'm going to say that again. Of all the performance products that you sell in your home-based business, this has the highest retention, which means when you get a customer online, you are, and Leslie, I don't know if you're talking, but I think you're on mute. So I don't know if you're, okay, just want to make sure.
I'm talking to myself because I'm agreeing with you.
Okay, cool. All right,
I feel like 95% of our team is like women and moms. And I think like a lot of that, you talk about it being our unicorn juice, our go-go juice, instead of coffee juice. So.
So true. And we're trying to see how we can sort of expand on this product. whether it's making some other things similar to it or making other flavors. We're in development thinking about how we can do it, because this is a huge hit. So
I feel like we'll buy it.
yeah. So think about Energize. This is a phenomenal product, a high retention for your customers. If you're starting someone on in Beachbody products, this is your hit record. They're definitely going to order this again. They love it. The taste, it's all natural, no artificial flavors, colors, sweeteners, all that stuff that you know. Now, why is it so successful? Let's go through just a couple bullet points that you can tell your customers. You're clearly buying and selling a lot of this, but I want to give you a couple tidbits of information that can, maybe you could switch a Starbucks customer or a Red Bull customer or someone who loves their Diet Coke 6 times a day. They can drink this instead. Okay, so first off, number one, we use clean caffeine. We use our caffeine from green tea and coffee bean extract, okay? A lot of companies use synthetic artificial caffeine because you can manufacture caffeine in any laboratory. We use clean, natural caffeine from green tea and coffee bean extract, okay, those two. So you got those together, clean caffeine. You get 100 milligrams of caffeine per scoop. If you're doing 2, many of you dial it up, that's 200 milligrams, all right? We recommend about 400 milligrams maximum, okay? You can have more if you want, but we're just saying as a company recommendation, we usually say 400 milligrams. So that would be 2 scoops in the morning, 2 scoops at night. Many of you who just finished 80-day obsession, a lot of you know Autumn may say, maybe just 1 scoop. We're not big on having more unless you're over 160 pounds, and you can do 2. So just be, I always say, think about the super trainer that you're working with and their recommendations. But on the label, you can go up to 2 scoops twice a day, no problem. If someone's doing 10 scoops a day, whoa. Okay, we know that over 800 milligrams of caffeine, it actually may be detrimental to your workout performance, and it's just not that great to be jacked up on that much caffeine, okay? So caffeine, amazing, clean coffee bean extract and green tea. A second thing is, if you ever take your Energize and you get a tingle in your skin, somewhere in your face or in your hands, that's from something called beta-alanine. It's totally normal, and it's an incredible thing because beta-alanine converts into something called carnosine. And carnosine actually reduces the lactic acid that you produce in the body. So let's say you're doing PIO, because I know Leslie was a PIO champion, and then you went into P90X, because I saw your video. But let's say you're doing any of those programs, or you're doing a session, and you're counting with the super trainer, and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm fatigued at number 8. And they're like, we're doing 12 repetitions. That's lactic acid building up in your muscle. When the muscle tissue feels just like numb and dead and you can't lift your leg, that's from lactic acid. Well, here's the cool thing. The beta-alanine that gives you the tingle, it buffers and drops the lactic acid, which is why you can do 12, 13, 15 repetitions, and we can legally make the claim on the label, improves exercise intensity performance and energy and endurance. That's a legal American claim that we're allowed to make with this product because of the beta-alanine, okay? So we've got the caffeine, the beta-alanine, and the last thing I'll mention that I think is very cool that you won't see in a lot of products, magnesium citrate. You probably can't read that on the label, but magnesium is a phenomenal, I know that didn't help, right? Magnesium is a phenomenal mineral. If many of you who have children, if you've ever gone in the hospital in early labor and you're like, the baby's coming, you call the doctor and you go in the ER and they're like, nah, the baby's not coming for another several days. What they often do to relax the contractions in the uterus is give magnesium. Magnesium is a relaxing muscle agent. It relaxes muscle tissue. When people with asthma or chest pain come to the emergency room, we give them magnesium. So magnesium is really important for muscle relaxation. It fights with calcium, but they're both essential. We put in the best absorbed magnesium. It's called magnesium citrate with a C, as in citric acid. It's magnesium citrate, which is the premium magnesium that most companies do not use. If you look at most of their blends of other company products, they're not using magnesium citrate. They use very cheap magnesium. So look for the magnesium citrate. Tell your customers, we use a little smidgen, just enough to get a benefit, but that's a sign of a great company when you see magnesium citrate. Okay, so you got your caffeine, your magnesium citrate, and your beta-alanine tingle, and that's what makes Energize so special. So I want to stop there and see if you got any questions or any comments, Leslie, or anyone out there.
I think the biggest question, I know a couple people asked about it, was when we changed the certification for the performance line. It went from like NSF to something else. I think it's stamped on the top now.
It's Informed Sport.
Okay.
Informed Sport, right there on the label. That's the new one. And I can talk about that.
Will you just briefly mention like why that was made? I think it got addressed maybe in the round table, but I don't know that everyone knows why that happened.
So here's the old label. This is NSF, you'll notice here, okay? And that's the National Sanitary Foundation. I believe it's National, if I remember, the National Sanitary Foundation. They're out of Michigan, a great American company. If you go out to a restaurant tonight and you go to dry your hands, you'll notice that the hand dryer, the automatic hand dryer will say NSF certified. If you go in your kitchen, open your dishwasher, it will most likely say NSF certified. They certify almost all products in America for hygiene, okay, cleanliness, hygiene, and they're also very good at certifying cleanliness, hygiene, and let's say anti-doping in ingredient testing in products, okay? So they're all about cleanliness, hygiene, and quality standards. Now there's another company out of Europe called Informed Sport, and this is Informed Sport, who is equally as good as NSF. They do the exact same testing for all of the banned substances, and they are more recognized globally. So they're now being recognized by all the major sports, Major League Baseball, NFL, NBA. They're now starting to look at Informed Sport as one of the major leaders, number one, and global companies are moving to Informed Sport, and we are a global company. Many of you are probably, most of our coaches are American, well over 90%. However, you guys may be traveling to Europe or Canada this summer, and you may sign up some new coaches. Now you've got international business, and they don't know about NSF in the UK, and they don't know about NSF as well in Canada. So as we globalize, we wanted to make sure that we were setting you up for success so that when you talked about Informed Sport, or NSF, it's well recognized. So we test all the exact same things. If you're working with a high school athlete, a collegiate athlete, or a pro hockey player, doesn't matter who you are, they can actually test everything in any of the batches that they buy from you. And here's the really cool thing that we couldn't do with NSF. With Informed Sport, if they buy, let's say, their Recover, then they can look at the bottom here. They'll notice the lot number. Okay, there's a number for the lot that you get. And a lot of people, a lot of folks who are married to military personnel were asking about this, because military personnel may be tested for drugs. And it's really important, not only if you're an athlete, but if you're in the military or if you're a military family, you know about this. You can go onto the Informed Sport website, type in and by the way, you'll see Beachbody on the website, but you can type in the lot number and it will give the exact results of this particular batch that you purchased for your customer or for your family. So if you have someone who's in the military or who's a hockey player or a baseball player, they can give those results to their drill sergeant, they can give it to their professional baseball coach, or they can give it to their trainer, and you'll know that it's certified, drug-free, and all those banned substances like amphetamines or other doping agents are not in the products. It's a huge level of confidence for us, and it's global. So we're kind of excited about Informed Sport.
Yeah, that's really cool. The only other question I saw come up about Energize, because I think otherwise everyone loves it, is why does it stain so bad? It is really, really bright yellow.
Yes, it's a great question. And I've got Energize, and let me pull in my Hydrate here. Someone was in my office the other day, and they had they mixed up a big batch of Hydrate in a cup, and they tripped over a chair and they spilled it, and it was like, oh no! And that's from what we call the quercetin. So that strong color that you get from Hydrate, and you also get from Energize, is from quercetin with a Q. Now quercetin is cool because it's got a double purpose. It's got a dual purpose. It gives us a natural food color, so we don't have to use any artificial coloring. I know it's strong, but it's also an antioxidant. So you get the benefit of, remember those, we talked about the pigments in fruits and vegetables, the colorful pigments? That's what quercetin is doing. It's bringing some type of support to the human body because it's a natural antioxidant, and it's a great way to color or add food coloring that's natural. So we don't have to use any artificial colors, sweeteners, flavors, and it's nice. So I know it's pretty strong, and it makes a statement, but it's great because it's natural. Yeah. All right, cool. I can keep talking about Recover and others if you like. Okay. All right. So let's talk about Recharge and Recover. All right. And I'll mention these. And I'm sorry, I've got an old label on the Recover. But the important thing is, why are these two so important? Now, you guys probably purchase more Recover and you sell more of these to your customers than you do Recharge. And that's fine. A lot of people will tell you they like the taste of Recover a little bit more. Okay. And that's great because it is a really good tasting shake. But let me explain the difference. So Recover, let's do Recover first. This is fast acting. This is fast acting so that as soon as you finish your workout, within 30 minutes, if you can get a Recover shake into your body, or within, let's say, even a 2-hour window after your exercise, it's really great for recovery. And the reason is the whey protein mixed with the blend of pea protein and something called micellar casein. And you'll notice that right on the label, it will say you'll notice right on the label if you don't want to take notes, you'll see some verbiage here about the blend just as you turn the label from Recover, just a little bit to the left. And it'll talk about the blend of protein. Now, I want you to imagine if I took a hammer and broke a hole in the wall behind me, that's damaging the wall. That's exactly what you do to your muscle tissue anytime you exercise. You are damaging the muscle tissue. If you have a young child and you're walking downstairs, you're also damaging muscle tissue. It's a normal human phenomenon, but what happens when you have good nutrition, like Recover, those nutrients go into the muscle tissue and build it up stronger. So if you imagine me breaking a hole in the wall, and after exercise, I immediately drink Recover, and it starts to patch up the surface covering for that hole. So now the hole is kind of covered, and you're starting to get the integrity of the muscle tissue back. So that's good for fast acting, reducing inflammation in the muscle tissue, and fixing the muscle. So that's Recover with the whey protein, which is really fast, okay? Now, when you go to sleep that night, you'd want to take Recharge before you get in bed, or soon, let's say soon after or soon before you're going to bed, because this has slower acting proteins like casein with a C. Casein is as if you went behind the wall that was damaged and you got some drywall and some extra reinforcements that you're putting behind the wall. While you're sleeping, it's slowly building up that muscle tissue. So Recover is very fast acting, and Recharge is slower acting because it's slower absorbed, and you get a long sort of micellar casing that you see on the label that's slowly absorbed into the muscle tissue. So fast acting, slow acting, and they both have antioxidants. One has tart cherry and one has pomegranate. Recover has the pomegranate, and Recharge has the tart cherry. So they're reducing the inflammation in the muscle tissue so you don't feel sore the next day. And that's the magic behind Recover and Recharge. Reduces the inflammation, you don't feel sore, come back stronger, you fix that hole in the wall that you broke from exercising, and you get a fast and a slow acting response. And that's why they're so incredible together. Last point I'll make on that is we're going to present some really exciting clinical results because we've been testing these at a university in England called it's pretty famous. We've been testing with this really brilliant researcher there, and we have published results which are coming out at Summit. So you're going to find out some really cool stuff at Summit about Recharge and Recover. So please look out for that information. So I'll stop there. I'm going to give myself the shut up sign for a second.
Okay. We have a question if there is anything in the works for a vegan variety of Recover or Recharge, just because I know a lot of people end up with dairy sensitivities and they don't do dairy at all. So
yeah, absolutely. So, and the answer is we're working on it. Okay. So yeah, we're working on it. So with the success of 80 Day Obsession, the sales of these products went through the roof, and you all many of you lived through that. Challenging time, right? Because it was so many products flying out, and we were so excited and impressed, but we had no idea that the amount of, when Autumn says, hey, let's drink some Recover, everyone's drinking Recover. Now, we did find out, because of sort of Autumn talking about a lot of her sensitivities with dairy and whey proteins, that actually got a lot of the coaching network to tell us that, hey, we'd like a vegan shake. And so that is something that we've been looking into. We won't be able to deliver it this year, but just understand that we have our scientists behind the scenes in the laboratory furiously trying to figure out how to make some vegan blends. So I would say we are working on it. We're going to do our best to deliver it as soon as possible. Can't come this year, but it's something that we think would be really important. So we wanted to say, yes, we're looking into it in a serious, serious way.
Awesome.
Yeah. Good.
All right. Will you tell us about bars?
Yeah, perfect segue.
I think we all love them.
Perfect segue, because I am now going to transition into Beach Bar. And I always say, if you ever forget about, it's interesting, my office is right next to the parking lot, and a lot of people are walking out to their cars and they're saying, hey, what are you, and they're knocking on my window, and I'm like, I'm doing a training call. But so hopefully you don't see the reflection of anyone. And actually, Carl, our CEO, parks a little bit over, you can't really see because I've got but he parks just over there. So usually when he's going to his car, he might look in and say, hey, Luigi, what are you doing in there? So if he comes by, I'm going to turn the computer so you can all see Carl. Okay, so beach bars. This is really exciting because many of you asked, the coaches asked for a snack bar that was going to be effective, that we could go up against the big guns, Lara Bar, RX, Cliff Bar, Kind Bar. This is a multi-billion-dollar industry, $7 billion, and we wanted to have a bar that would really blow them out of the water. So our bar, calorie for calorie, is superior, and I'll walk you through why. First of all, if you ever forget, just look right on the top of the label, 150 calories, 10 grams of protein, okay, 0 trans fats, 4 grams of fiber, and it's gluten-free. This is the easiest marketing that you can do. You can just take the box and read the carton if you're talking to a customer, whether it's on the phone or in person. So we wanted those points to be really easy to talk about. Now, why is it better? Well, if you compare calorie for calorie and you compare apples to apples, we have more protein, we have less sugar, and we have more fiber compared to all of those other bars, Cliff, RX, Kind, and Lara. We wanted to go up against those bars because they're wholesome bars, but our bar is wholesome as well. Nut butters like almond and peanuts, organic cane sugar, wholesome, no artificial sweeteners and colors, okay, and flavors or preservatives. Very important to recognize, because I'm going to talk about Quest Bar in 1 second. Everyone brings up Quest, but they're loaded with artificial sweeteners that a lot of you didn't know about, okay? And I know it's a great bar, but a lot of coaches don't want that stuff. And so when you look at the bar, our bar, it stacks up pound for pound, an apples to apples comparison from protein, sugar, and fiber. Now, just want to go to Quest Bar because a lot of people ask about Quest Bar. I always say in Beachbody, we're super positive. We don't trash other companies, and that's what makes us awesome as a company. But when we look at Quest, and I know they sell a ton of bars, that's a different type of bar. It's more of a muscle recovery bar, okay, higher in protein, so no issues there. But they're loaded with sucralose, which is Splenda, an artificial sweetener. And many years ago, when a lot of moms stopped buying Diet Coke and Diet Pepsi because they didn't want NutraSweet in their kids. NutraSweet is something called aspartame. A lot of moms were like, no more aspartame. So the sales of Diet Coke, Diet Pepsi went down, and the food companies were scrambling. What do we do? What do we do? So they started adding Splenda. It's a little yellow packet that you find in a coffee shop. That's sucralose. Now, moms were cool with it for a long time. Now they're not. And we didn't want to add that to any of our products. That's what Quest Bar uses as a sweetener. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying our coaches don't want that stuff in our products. So we don't use aspartame or NutraSweet. We don't use Ace K, and we don't use Splenda, sucralose. Okay, so none of those artificial sweeteners. A very pure, wholesome bar, 150 calories, and all the good stuff in there. So, and I think it tastes delicious compared to those other bars. A lot of them are really good, but this I think is a lot better. So that's my pitch on the bars. Of course, you got 2 flavors. Great. What do you think about that? I don't know if you have any questions on the bars.
No, I don't think I don't know if I saw any questions come up on the bars, but yeah, I love them. Like,
Okay.
I'm 100% gluten-free due to allergies. So for me, I don't ever chance it with like a Snickers or anything like that. So my days of candy bars at the grocery store are long gone, but those peanut butter chocolate are amazing.
Yeah, I've got those right here as well. So one thing I would point out, just to give a little promo for not only the bar, but Shakeology and Daily Sunshine, all of these products are low glycemic index. And I'll say it again. Some of you are in the medical profession that know it as a low GI. A glycemic index is a measure of how fast sugar gets into the bloodstream and gets metabolized and absorbed. So if I drank a can of soda right now, my score would be the highest score, a score of 100, because the can of sugary soda would go right into my bloodstream, and that sugar would sugarcoat my red blood cells and the tissue in my eyes and my heart. And that's why diabetics need to take insulin to get that blood sugar down. So that's a very high glycemic index. That's bad. If I ate a bowl of lentil soup, lots of fiber, healthy protein, that's a low glycemic index food. That means that bowl of lentils slowly gets absorbed. You feel sustained energy, and you don't get a spike of sugar. It slowly gets into the body. A low glycemic index score is somewhere in the mid-50s and below. Our bars, our shakes, and Daily Sunshine are probably a score of 30 to 42. It's a very low glycemic index. Now, I don't want you all rushing out to your neighborhood hospital, standing outside the diabetes clinic with the bars saying, hey, it's low glycemic index, you should take this, you're diabetic. We don't do that because we're not a medical food, but it's really important to understand a lot of moms are very sensitive to sugar in their kids and in their families, and because you're the head of households, many of you, and there's a lot of dads and guys in Beachbody as well, but just understand it's really important low glycemic index. So that's sort of one of the pitches I would make to understand about all the products, the major products, Daily Sunshine, Shakeology, and the bars. Not as important for sports performance, because in sports, you want to have a little bit of a kick of sugar, because that stimulates an insulin response and that builds muscle tissue. Okay, so I can kick it back to you, Leslie, or I can talk a little bit more about whatever you like.
I had a question. Is there any talk about bringing like a line of BCAAs to our like sports performance line? I know this goes around and around all the time in the round table. They're looking for BCAAs, clean ones.
Right. So great question. So first of all, what's a branched chain amino acid, a BCAA? So a branched chain amino acid is it's basically one of 3 types of amino acids. And you think about the letters LIV, like live. Okay, it's lysine, isoleucine, and valine, if I'm correct. Leucine, isoleucine, valine, yeah. So anyway, not important, but the point is that those 3 amino acids are especially important for muscle development. They're really important to sort of links in the chain to building healthy muscle. Okay, so a lot of companies add these branched chain amino acids into their blends to give the muscle tissue an extra kick. Now, we do use branched chain amino acids, which you will notice right on the label. We add them in a little bit of extra in our recover and recharge. So we already have a little bit in there. But a lot of your customers are asking for more because they're taking a bunch of tablets. So we're looking into it. It's not a priority because we don't know how much it would be, but it has come in our coach focus groups. A lot of people have asked about it. And if we could do a plant-based branched chain amino acid line, a lot of folks were asking, like sort of almost like a vegan plant-based line, if it was possible. So we've looked into it. We're having our scientists, they're looking at a whole list of different things, and that's definitely on the list. I wouldn't say it's as high priority as some of the, let's say, vegan recover products and things like that, but it's definitely on the list, and we're looking into it. Okay, so I wanted you to know.
All right. Well, that's exciting to hear. And I think maybe that's why some of those requests come up, because if you are dairy free, and they're say not having recover, they're not getting that in, and they're looking for it elsewhere. So
Very true.
we're loyal to our brand. We'd like to buy it here.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I think it's terrific.
Awesome.
And I know I want to be respectful of your time and all your coaches' time. And I know I've got another call in like.
You do. I know. I think we've hit it all.
These are, by the way, great questions that you brought up. And what's amazing to me is every time I do a coach training call, the same questions come up, which is a very good sign that people are very much in touch with their customers, and they have their fingers on the pulse of the business. It's a really good sign. And that's why I'm always comfortable answering a lot of these questions, because I may have just talked to a coach yesterday about the same thing. So it's a sign that it doesn't matter where you are in the US or in Canada or in the UK, everyone's kind of connected. It's really cool.
That is cool.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for your time and like wealth of information. As you were talking, people were like, oh my God, I'm going to watch this on repeat. So it's really nice to hear. Even as you were saying things, I was like, oh, I need my customers to hear that about Shakeology, or like learn a little bit more about why it's not just $40. So good. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Leslie. Thank you for having me, and thanks for everyone who participated in the call. If you're coming to Summit, please stop me, tap me on the shoulder. I'm super friendly. I love to hug people and say hi, and I'd love to meet you and your family if you're going to be there at Summit, all of you. And I just really want to say thanks for all your passion and your participation in making Beachbody such an amazing company. So thanks to all of you.
All right. Well, thank you. We'll see you at Summit.
Sounds good.
Bye, everyone. Have a good night.